Hi everybody and welcome to Mukilteo, Washington. We might just very well have a very colorful sunset here over Puget Sound. If you're not familiar with the area, this is about 30 miles north of Seattle. This is salt water right in front of us. Down below as we are on the edge of a bluff at a historic cemetery here in Mukilteo. Nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you were just with me on Periscope a moment ago and you were able to find this stream conveniently. I hope it's not too much of a challenge to figure it all out. Anyway, just looking around, hopefully you'll notice if you were watching on Periscope a moment ago that the quality is better now here on YouTube as opposed to Periscope. What I wanted to show you, yes, it is. Oh, it is. Okay, thank you very much. So it is windy on Vancouver Island in Nanaimo. You know, I have to tell you, I did look up the dark side. I watched several videos of the area known as the dark side outside of Nanaimo and on YouTube. I read about it on Wikipedia. I read about it elsewhere. And I thought I think it was the video that you shared with me where someone said it was like being in Jurassic Park as they went through what really looks like a fissure above ground. You know, when we think about earthquakes, we think about what's going on beneath the surface, but that looks like, right, like it's up and above the surface. What a cool area. Would love to make it out there sometime. It is an earthquake fault, which is what you had told me. So yeah, really, really neat area. Not only popular with rock climbers, and they have to remove the moss to do that. Hey, PS4 Gamer 24/7, which is the other handle for, I think it's Disney World Scopes. I have to keep reminding myself of the multiple handles for some people, depending on the social media platform. It can vary. Yes, all right. Perfect. I was just looking off the edge over here, the island, and I don't know if that's just a structure that I'm seeing. Just in the center of the screen. That doesn't really show up so well here. I just can't zoom in well enough there. Or if there's a ship that's going around the bend there. Well, let's bring it back over here and just show you what's going on with the clouds. Pretty darn cool. So no short of drama in the sky. And as of this moment, the winds are tapering off. If you were watching me here live on Periscope about 10 minutes ago, it was much windier, but suddenly it's not nearly as windy. And it looks like Pamina just came on. Hi, Pamina. Thank you. Now, this is tricky because, see, PS4 Gamer 24/7 is also Disney World Scopes, who is also known as Panther Fan Forever. So you keep it interesting, my friend. Thank you, Pamina. It's going to be, I think, pretty cool once the sun ducks beneath this cloud shelf and you can see you can see where it's all happening. The magic's about to happen right there over Whidbey Island. You know, Whidbey Island is nothing in terms of length compared to Vancouver Island, but still, for a local island here in Puget Sound, it is a very long island at about 53, 54 miles, I believe. Not terribly wide at all in terms of width, but very long. How many miles long is Vancouver Island? It must, I mean, my goodness, it is tremendous. Is it 200 or 300? I mean, it's a very long island. I can see Dayron, if you're listening, there's a fire engine leaving the firehouse behind me. At least you're honest. Yes, you are. You are honest, very much so. So I have to wonder if they're responding to something wind related. Here come the sun rays. Let's check that out. I'm so instinctively wanting to touch the screen to adjust the exposure for either sky, cloud, or water, or island, but you can't do that on the YouTube app. But still, I think the YouTube option is still a better option. You know, I was speaking to a gentleman who lives in this area. The last time I was out here, we had a really good conversation. Oh, look at that beautiful light. You were just notified by email that oh, I missed the rest of that. I just looked down at my comments. I'm sorry that maybe it was by email that I am live. If that was the case, thank you for the heads up, Real Estate Nanaimo. Okay, here comes the sun. George Harrison. This is going to be really nice. But the gentleman I was speaking to here, he told me about the blue heron, where it roosts in this certain tree. And that's the tree that, if you have followed me, we talk about the blue heron coming out at twilight roughly. Precisely the tree where we've seen it go as we've broadcast live here over the past couple of years or so. Now it's going to start to get really interesting. If you like what you see here and you think it's share worthy, please feel free to share. I would most appreciate it. I'm going to try and build up the YouTube audience for live streaming as well as other pre-packaged reports. Now it's getting really nice. Yeah, those emojis pretty much cover it right there. You need a few waves though. Okay, we need a few waves. Ocean type waves. There we go. 4 thumbs up and 6 viewers according to this. This YouTube mobile app that I'm streaming live with on my iPhone 7 Plus. There you go. There you go. That looks more like the forecast in Orlando, doesn't it? But that's what we have going on here right now in the Seattle area. Not too long from now, we should be seeing the ferries setting out, I would say in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And now we're getting bathed in sunlight. Let me just show you what's going on in terms of the local surroundings. And I was told by that gentleman, Jeff, who was telling me about the blue heron nest, he told me that there is indeed an eagle nest up there on the snag that's up there to the right in the center of the screen. But he says you have to, by the way, he says you have to get away from the area and back up and you'll see where the nest is. You'll get a better view of where that allows you to see where the nest is located. Severe weather. Oh boy, well stay safe, my friend. Thank you, Pamina. I mean, isn't that the ideal? Imagine you're on the bench or one of the benches down the path here overlooking the fence and out across Puget Sound. And now that sunset, wow. And the ferry is indeed setting off across the water, so let's show you that. We should have some nice pictures coming up. Got to have my DSLR settings raring to go as the color temperature changes and the brightness intensifies. So hopefully we get the ferry swinging left toward the south. The color looks more true than periscope. Oh, that's excellent to know. I've been really pleased with the replay when I check out these YouTube replays in terms of just checking out the quality. I know it's 480p, but even on my Apple TV, on my 48 inches so big screen TV at home, it still holds up and looks really good. Yeah, I've got to change these settings. You agree. Very good. So here we're going to get the ferry to our right and the sun to our left. You know, and I think that looks pretty darn good. Now, what should be really interesting, you guys, is when once the sun goes down behind Whidbey Island, how much color will be on the underbelly of all these clouds. The darks are dark and the highlights, well, it's not, not all blown out aside from the sun, so you still see a nice reflection on the water. Pretty darn good. And then these bushes catching the sunlight here in the foreground. I get captions with this broadcast. Are you being serious? Not live captions, surely. No trains so far, if Kit Harvey is watching from Reading. Hi Kit, if so, but I know you enjoy the train. Hopefully we'll have a train come by just below us. Wow, that sun is bright, you guys. I'm going to bring it over here just a little bit, and we can show you that the tide is out a tad. We call that shape the pearl. Oh, okay, very good. It's a good name for it. I assume you're referring to the sun. Thank you, thank you. Let's see what happens. Sun will hang there for another, before it dips behind the island, I imagine another 7 to 10 minutes. And then we could get some fiery oranges and reds and who knows, maybe some purples and so on. Very peaceful out here tonight, Pamina. I'm going to keep changing my camera settings in my DSLR to try and just see if I can get this nice balance of the brights and the darks. Oh, here we go. Now we're talking. No, Scott, I have not seen the green flash, and this comes up from time to time during the sunset scopes that I do. And someone has sent me a video where I saw the green flash. Must have been a YouTube video. I'm trying to remember. That was about a year or so ago. But I have not. Have you seen it, Scott? Not yet. Okay. I'm going to tilt down a little bit. The waves are kind of interesting to see down there. You can watch this broadcast in virtual reality. Okay, first you're telling me, suggesting the possibility of not only captions, but maybe even live captions. And now you're telling me VR. It's definitely not as windy as it was 40 minutes ago. That's really interesting to know that's an option. But truly, what could you do? Does that have to be streamed with a special camera in order to do that? I wonder. Man, oh man, it's difficult to shoot into the sun. You know, you have to be careful. Now it's going to get really interesting, I think. Keep changing my settings. I'm at f11, 1/320th of a second. ISO is at 100. I'm going to bring it down to 1/200th. Let's see what this does. And if any of these turn out fairly good, I'll share on social media tonight. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, now it's starting to happen. I'm also beyond 90 seconds on Twitter. I'm Mark Horner Photos on Instagram. Man, I can see my eyes, man. Shooting the sun is not fun, but looking to the south, I can see the reflection on what I believe is the Edmonds to Kingston ferry out towards Kingston. I'm not going to turn the iPhone that way. We'll keep it on the sunset here. But it's just the distant ferry to my south, about 15 miles away at least, I would say, is reflecting all that sunlight. So pretty cool. Zancro, thank you for following me on Instagram. I appreciate it. It's tricky. I'm looking through my DSLR, but I'm looking at the water and making a point of not looking at the sun in my DSLR because it's just so bright. It's just the full orb. And the waves below on the water are just so nice right now. Now we're talking, you guys. Now we're talking. It's just beautiful. Okay, now the sun's just starting to sink behind the island. Oh, the color temperature is changing very quickly. The brightness is changing very quickly. See, I'm at f11. I'm going to have to bring that back up. Let's bring it to f8 right now. All you need now are some planes. Well, don't rule it out, my friend. The ferry is coming here right now from Whidbey Island. A bit chilly. You know, Pamina, it's about 50 degrees, so it's definitely cooled off since yesterday with this cooler air coming in primarily this evening. And now we're starting to see some light, can't say orange, maybe just a hint of peach now that's coming toward the sky. So this is really interesting. I think it's going to possibly get quite dramatic. Looking east, the backlight is amazing. Your chat isn't working. Oh, I can see you there, real estate in Nanaimo. Yeah, everything is very dark behind me. Let me show you real quick. Here, we'll just do it this way. I had to turn my baseball cap around, but I don't know if that's going to do it justice. Tell you what we'll do. Let's do it this way. I guess dark is relative. The phone brightens it all up, but those are gray skies, not blue. In fact, I was here last year, and on Memorial Day there was a ceremony, and I came out here and I streamed the whole thing live with no commentary from me, just the sound of the presenters and the band that was out here, the old time band, and I enjoyed it, appreciated it. The ferry is just over this way, you guys. Is that right, Deb? Is that in my view, or is that something you're looking at in your area? Look at this, what do we call that up above? The mustache? No, that wouldn't be the mustache. We've got this lower cloud passing through, all lit up. On your kitchen window. Oh, very nice, Deb. And welcome, Deb. Thank you for checking out this broadcast. Getting orange now. And the wind has picked up. And you know, wind is not uncommon no matter where you live at sunset for the winds to stir a bit more at sunset, isn't it? To answer your question, Vancouver Island is 290 miles in length, 62 miles in width at its widest point. Oh, there was something else there. Real estate Nanaimo, could you give me the oh, I don't want to have to put you to work, but the second half of that, I could catch it. No, you know what? I haven't figured out how to read the comments in the replay. I was about to say I could catch it in the replay, but there was a bit more there I know you had. I'm going to slide over here because we got some nice clouds over here too. And then just off to our right, we do have the ferry coming in. Just show you that until it disappears. You can see the beach down below. Yesterday, I'm sure that beach was, on the weekend, it was probably very busy. I saw someone tweet about just how packed the beach was a day or two ago. Because you know what, we finally had some decent weather. It has been such a gray, cold year so far in this area. And a difference from a year ago, I think we had much more warmer temperatures. Let's take a look at just over Whidbey Island. Oh, you know what? I could read the rest of your question. This is a neat thing about YouTube. I can scroll back into questions or comments. The largest island on the west coast of North America. Source is Wikipedia. Well, thank you, Real Estate Nanaimo. Thank you very much, my friend in Orlando. So there's Whidbey Island. Now let's take a look and zoom it out and see what we can see going on with the clouds overhead here. Where else would they be but overhead? I mean, if they were below me, that would be interesting. Thank you for sharing, Ron. I appreciate that. You're sharing on Twitter and you're using some handles of some local meteorologists and other media personalities in the Seattle area. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate your support, helping to get the word out. If you like what you see here, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. You can hit that subscribe button, and just to the right of it, there's a bell. You click that, and then check the little box that comes up, and you'll be notified, in theory, whenever I upload a video or go live. Sometimes that may not work if you have certain settings that are restricting that on your device or on your computer. But if you have any trouble there, feel free to contact me and I'll do my best to help you. I appreciate your support, you guys. What are the kind of things you would like to see in YouTube if I were to do more videos? Orange and gold clouds and a touch of pink. There you go, Pamina. I'm looking at doing some more in-depth news stories where I go out and interview someone or some people and bring you some unique content. Your friend said her power is out with the storm. Well, at last word, Real Estate in Nanaimo, we had 8,000 customers throughout this general area, to include Lake Stevens, I know, that were without power. So that does not, if you're getting the same system coming through, that doesn't shock me. By the way, Real Estate in Nanaimo, I watched a news story on CBS Sunday Morning, I believe it was. Jane Pauley was the reporter, and this was just this past weekend, I believe. I watched it on an app on my phone, but it was on West Vancouver Island, and there was this couple who live on a floating island that they built with all sorts of little buildings tethered to it, and they live in a little bay, but they float about. They have a garden on their floating island, and they fish for their food, and they've been doing this for 20 plus years, I think. You saw it too? What a great story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just, that's not for everybody, but I would like to think that I would be really into that. There's a lot about that lifestyle that appeals to me, but I'm sure it's a lot of hard work too. And I would need some skills that I presently don't have in order to pull that off. You guys, as we look at what's going on here, there's very dramatic clouds here. If I zoom in, maybe it'll do a bit more justice. Not just those two well-lit ones. Oh, very good, PS4 Gamers 24/7. Let me know how that works, if it makes any kind of a difference. That would be really good to know. Yeah, you would be a guy who already has the virtual reality headset. Now, this is really interesting, you guys. You would like to try to live like that too? Yeah, it was really, really good. So, Pamina, it was on the American television network CBS. And it has a weekend program called Sunday Morning, which does a lot of nice light features, the kind of stuff that's pleasant to wake up to, as opposed to so much of what goes on in the world. And they do some nice, unique storytelling, and they take the time to do longer stories and let the storytelling breathe and do more interesting, positive stories. And this was a really good feature. I bring all that out because it's CBS Sunday Morning, and if you wanted to Google it, you would put that in, and maybe Vancouver Island, House on an Island might be a good way to do it. Jane Pauley, Pauley, she was the reporter, and it was on this past weekend's broadcast. All right, you guys, the winds have once again picked up. We've got the definite glow here on the underbelly of these clouds in the just above the island. You can look at the replay at the WED. Okay, I'm not sure what the WED is, but I think I get the gist of the comment. You'll be able to find it. And so not so much color to our left, although there is a bit of, like a little bit like an apricot down there. I'm not going to zoom in on it. You're welcome. And then here, the most exciting part of the sky right now is directly where the sun went down, as well as over here. This is pretty cool. Let's see what happens if we zoom in on what's going on here. Everything looks rather electric, doesn't it? There we go. Still no train, amazingly. We almost always have at least one train in a broadcast that goes beyond 25 minutes or so. So Real Estate in Nanaimo, did you really share the Port Hardy video on your Facebook page? Since Real Estate in Nanaimo is on Vancouver Island, I shared with Real Estate in Nanaimo the video that I made with Christian Sasa. He went to Port Hardy on the north end of Vancouver Island. He shot all the video up there. It got some fantastic bald eagle. Oh, there's a hole. It's fat. Oh, thank you for doing so. And then I edited it, and Christian came down to Bellingham, Washington. We met at Lake Padden, where I interviewed him about his experience. Then I wrote it up and edited it to make a video, and that was a real fun project. So beautiful, Port Hardy. Boy, if you want to see, oh, look at that. The leaf in the wind goes right in front of the lens, and you guys caught that. It's like a pinhole just in the clouds there beneath that brightly lit horizontal line in the center of your screen. I better take some more pictures, you guys, before the glow fades away. I know I'm going to have to brighten my settings. Let's bring it down to f5.6. We'll stay at 100 ISO. Actually, I'm going to bring the ISO up. Let's bring it to, I'm going to bring it up to 400. And I'll bring my shutter speed down to 1/200th. Oh, thank you, Pamina. Christian is just incredible. He's doing some really cool stuff with astrophotography right now. You see, he's got, he was in National Geographic. They contacted him regarding some really cool stuff he did in Australia, showing the night sky toward the South Pole. And then he got picked up. Actually, I contacted CTV in Vancouver, gave them the tip, and then they ended up doing a story on him based on the tip. And then CTV National picked it up, and they also interviewed him live during their midday newscast on CTV National. And now he's got some other exciting things in the works, which I would love to share with you, but others have contacted him, some well-known, or at least one very well-known publication, but I don't want to steal his headlines. I'll wait for the time when things go through where he's ready to share that. But just keep your eye on Sasaphoto. He's my friend Christian Zassi in Surrey, British Columbia. He's doing amazing things. And always full of ideas for the next experiment or test, doing things that in ways that may sound a bit discombobulated or unconventional, but yielding at times some very surprising results. I'm really having fun following that. It's really like a blue hole, that circle in the clouds. It's much more dramatic in person because the phone can't quite capture all that's going on there. There's actually on the inside of the circle a ring of intense light, the fringe. So it's really nice, kind of neat to see that. Let's bring it on over here and show more of what's going on up in this direction. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. That is beautiful. Let me just show you a little bit more close up as these colors streak along the sky in this direction. Around the world. Yeah, nice pastel colors. Very nice colors. You're getting a splash of Bob Ross work here. A lot of plum in there right now. I can hear the rumble of the ferry engine, but I don't think it's ready to leave just yet. That's interesting. I've been on Periscope since nearly the beginning. And on a night like this, I might get anywhere from, in terms of total viewers, not at one time, but in terms of total viewers, it may be as low as 75. It might be as many as several hundred. And in some cases, I might get a couple thousand. It's happened on some of the better sunsets. Sometimes it happens, and I don't know why. But here on YouTube, I think the number stood at 6 for the high. But I very much appreciate all 6 of you. So thank you very much. And if you like what you see, feel free to tell your friends about it and encourage them to subscribe as well. It'd be great to have more people on board. Yeah, I agree, Deb. And you know, with the app, if you happen to be looking at it, you can see who you follow is live just by scrolling down. And if any of the people that you follow are sharing, you'll see that as well. So I think it promotes the broadcast and thus the engagement in a far superior way over YouTube right now. No, I haven't, and it's going to be more than 5 gallons of water, right? Because there are 5 of us, and so we should get at least 25 gallons of water. And I think you said that's in theory for 3 days, and what they really mean is 3 weeks. So then do the math on top of that exponentially, and I need another entire room just to stock water. But this is great advice to have 5 gallons of water per person in the event of a disaster such as an earthquake. Thank you, Real Estate Nanaimo. Let me show you what's going on here. You only need a life straw. There was a little shaker by me. Yeah, I saw that there was one in the Everett area. Now the visibility across the way seems a little humid, but that oftentimes can mean rain too, but I don't think it really is rain. Isn't that beautiful though? Even at twilight. Oh, and look at this. Talking about the holes in the clouds, look at that. Doesn't really show up, but there is a very distinct hole where I can see the blue sky above. I gotta shoot that. That's gonna be real dark. Yeah, it is. I gotta brighten this up. Still no train. There goes the seagull beneath it. I'm hearing a rumble, so it's a train or a plane, my friend in Orlando. And the winds are picking up once again. I think what I'm hearing is a plane, but it's likely, oh, there it is. Right there. I knew I heard something, even above the wind. Wow, is it windy? You wouldn't know how windy it is because I'm wearing a very good microphone. I can make looking at clouds fun. Okay, I'm gonna take a risk here. I'm gonna unplug my microphone and you'll hear the contrast in the audio. I'm taking a risk because when I plug it back in, there's no guarantee it'll readjust to my microphone. But let's just give you the contrast in the audio quality. I'm now going to unplug the microphone that I'm using. Oh, audio now. Let's see if you have audio now. That was very interesting. Testing 1, 2, 3. You should have audio coming back here very shortly. Let's hope so anyway. William Allen, it's nice to see you here. Still no sound? Still no sound. Still no sound? Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Here, I'll switch cameras. Audio is back. Okay. William Allen, it's nice to have you here. So what I did was I unplugged the mic. Now sometimes with Periscope, it's okay. Okay, thank you. With Periscope, I can unplug my microphone, plug back in, and that sometimes will work, oftentimes will, but not with the YouTube app. At least you hear me. Thank you for all your feedback. We hear taste 1, taste 2. Ah, Deb. Oh, let's not look at me cracking up with a runny nose. Okay, it's windy and it's getting cold. Cold is a relative term, I know, but I got to think it's probably dipped into the upper 40s by now. It was probably, at least it feels like it. It was about 53, I believe, when I was driving out here, while the sun was still high, well, somewhat high in the sky. But cooler air definitely moving into the area. These are the winds that we were told were on their way. It actually started in the afternoon. Pamina, no whales. I've yet to see a whale myself out here. But I have oftentimes seen sea lions. How about that sea lion video from, I believe, Real Estate Nanaimo, your neck of the woods on Vancouver, in British Columbia anyway. Yeah, it won't be long till coffee time. You're exactly right. Look at the winds whipping through here. Let me give you a, yeah, let me give you a look around here. But yeah, I was about to say, how about that sea lion in British Columbia that pulled the young girl into the water off the dock? That was shocking. Even in low light, the video looks pretty good on the phone, so I imagine it's... You saw that, wasn't that just shocking? This is aimed at just kind of giving you more of an appreciation for the wind here. How about the guy that jumped in after her? Wow. Yes, Deb, that should not be lost on us all. He did that without hesitation. I mean, he just went in, which was great. If you're ever in the area and you want to enjoy some peace and quiet and this view, there's your bench. It's not a squirrel cemetery, no. It's a, oh, there are squirrels here, but it's a historic cemetery of the early settlers of what was had just recently at the time been coined Mukilteo, or named Mukilteo. So the early settlers, many of them are buried here, and I think the last one to be buried here was 1926 or so. It was a "Shut Your Eyes If You Hate Politics." I'm not sure where that came from, Deb. I must have missed a comment. You know, if I touch the screen, how about the guy who jumped? You saw that? This is one neat thing about the YouTube app. I touch the screen, all of the comments come back, and I can drag my finger and go back into the comments. And I don't see anything about politics, so I got lost there. Then take the bench. SeaWorld stole all our orca and made children believe wild animals are our friends. Well, you said that very well, Deb, and I'm going to be very transparent on that. You know, when I was a little boy, my dad would take us to Southern California, and we would go to Lion Country Safari. We would go to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, and SeaWorld. And yes, we watched killer whales in captivity at SeaWorld. I had a chance to kiss one, but I did not want to do it. I just didn't seem, I was afraid, point blank as a kid, and I would still think that's not natural now. And when I was a reporter working at KGUN, which is KGUN TV in Tucson, Arizona, in about 1992, I got sent to do a story of fun things to do in San Diego, believe it or not. What a tough assignment. And I went to SeaWorld, and it included, you know, showing and talking about the wonderful orca exhibit, which looking back, you know, I feel shameful, but I wasn't as well educated. I never really thought it was the right thing to have them in captivity, but there I was talking with a smile on my face, I guess, and directly promoting it, or directly if you want to argue it. But yeah, I believe they should absolutely be in the wild, and I'm not for... I mean, in this area, they were captured in the 1970s, right? Up off of Whidbey Island in what's called Penn Cove, in that general direction northward. And it was a horrible ordeal. It's been detailed by somebody who was there on one of the boats, and he lived to tell about it very directly, about how traumatic it was, not only for him, looking back on it, but also obviously for the whales themselves. This is a pretty cool picture here. I think I'm going to have to see if I can get that with my DSLR. Let's see if I can get the settings for this lighting just in time. Well, you guys, I tell you what, I'm gonna wrap it up soon, but I'll give you a heads up. Although these clouds still look dramatic, I will post an image or two on Twitter and Instagram tonight. I'm beyond 90 seconds on Twitter, just like I am here, and I'm Mark Horner Photos on Instagram. That's MarkHorner Photos. We happened to be at Mukilteo when the pod came through that day. The night we saw the capture on the news, we wondered what the boats were. Oh my goodness, Deb, is that right? Holy smokes. What a memory. Pamina, used to dive a few years ago. Marine life is friendly if you respect it. And Deb, you are jaded. Okay, all very interesting. Well, I tell you what, I think dolphins, that's always been a fantasy since I was a kid. I guess I grew up with Flipper and all that, but I just thought how cool it would be to swim with dolphins. Wild dolphins, though. When I was a kid, no lie, I had read an article in the paper. It's probably the Seattle PI, and it was very likely in the 1970s that I read it, maybe the early 80s, but I want to say the 70s. And it was about a guy describing going out on a boat and playing the flute decades earlier in the evening, and killer whales allegedly came near his small boat as he played the flute. And that prompted me, having read that article, it's the only explanation I can have for a dream that I had, where I was swimming beneath a starlit sky between Bremerton and Seattle with killer whales to either side, and not a scared bone in my body. It was as if it was meant to be. Now, could I swim between Bremerton and Seattle and survive? No. But what a dream it was. It's to the point where I still remember it many decades later. Do not try. Exactly. All right, my friends, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate your company this evening. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. It's been nice for me to be out here on the edge of this bluff, 100 feet above Puget Sound, taking in all this air, this fresh air, as it comes off the sound and envelops me. You're most welcome, Real Estate Nanaimo. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so glad that you saw that story about the couple that lives on their makeshift island and floats around the western side of Vancouver Island. That was so cool. You're welcome. Oh, and by the way, Real Estate Nanaimo. I will get my water. I wanted to tell you regarding the gentleman that was in that video who lost his life in the Philippines. I watched a really good, I guess it was probably CBC investigation that was many minutes long, where the reporter interviewed the wife, or the girlfriend, I think she was, fiance or what have you, from the Philippines, whom the gentleman was visiting, was spending time with in the Philippines. And she gave a really dramatic account of everything. And for her to have to live with those memories. I was talking about that story. This is a grim subject, you guys, but there were 2 Canadians as well as others held hostage. It's part of a regular thing that goes on in a specific area of the Philippines where they're held for ransom. The Canadian government wouldn't pay the millions of dollars. And so Real Estate Nanaimo, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but you shared a bit about that and the indirect connection you have to it. But I was telling my wife tonight how it's a shame that we live in a world where not only could the lives not be saved, but the perpetrator or perpetrators are still on the loose to the best of our knowledge, even though there's a photo of the very guy who has the weapon that was allegedly used to do the deed. So that's what really bugs me, is that they just don't get in there and do what it takes to find these guys. Anyhow, we had a beautiful sunset, switching it back to what we're here doing tonight. And I just want to thank you very much for joining. Have a great night, everybody, or a good day, wherever you might be. Yes, unbelievable. All right, good night, everybody. It happens to so many missionaries, too. Yeah, it's just a crazy world. Good night. Good night. Thank you very much for watching, all of you. I really appreciate it. So long.